have you been? How's things?
I'm fine. I'm fine. A lot of work, a lot of great work, positive work these days. Promoting the album. Everything is good. The past 2.5 years have been very eventful,
Yeah, to say the
as
least.
everybody can tell. It was up and down and up and down, and yeah, I try to keep my head or my sanity. Let's put it this way, and create music. And well, it's been going up. This year was quite eventful with some touring, and I don't want to complain. In a nutshell.
Yeah, no, fair enough. But I was reading some of the information that was sent through regarding the new album, and I believe during the pandemic you kind of went in and built a new studio for this album, right?
Yeah, well, actually, I started prior to the pandemic, and that was quite a bummer. I had started to build a studio at a company here and construction workers, and we started, I think, in January. We made the plans, and I think it went till April, and in March everything started and became really really bad and nasty. And I was just building a new studio, and I thought, what for? There may not be a music industry left after we're done with this.
Yeah.
And I have a beautiful studio now. But it turned out to be a blessing in the end, because I had a way to to seek shelter in my own little world, and it gave me room to lock the door behind me and be creative and create music.
Yeah, no, obviously that gives you a lot of freedom to kind of do what you want. You're not restricted to, the rules and laws of, going into another studio. I guess that was the main incentive. But did you find anything that was surprising, sort of having your own studio as well?
No. I mean, I wanted a creative retreat. I had a studio before, so I could. Even the Moonflower album was produced in my studio, or at least my part of the job. Most of it was produced in my studio. But I wanted it better, and more state of the art. I wanted the best. It's always a matter of respect towards your own work. And I thought, this is my job. This has been my profession for 25 or 30 years. I want the best possible studio, not just a studio. I don't want a home studio. I want the best sounding room I can get into this house. And that was my approach. I wanted to have great room acoustics, and also what is very important to me is to have a cozy working retreat. I don't want to feel like I'm in the I don't want it shouldn't be like in the lab of a scientist, I wanted it to be cozy. Let's put it this way. I didn't want to feel like I'm at the dentist, with all the technology around and everything super clean and sterile. And and I think the best thing is that you can just get up in the morning or at night or whenever you have an idea popping up in your head, and you go to the studio. A good example is I fell asleep at 10 o'clock in front of my television. I woke up at 1 o'clock and Christine, the movie, was on. The film of John Carpenter.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with the soundtrack, even though I had seen the movie many times before. Of course, I knew the movie, but I analyzed the soundtrack, and I thought, it's great how he works with such strange, old school, vintage, cheap synthesizer sounds. And what comes out with a soundtrack how he orchestrates those sounds. And I went to my studio right away and tried to work with old vintage synthesizer sounds. It was inspiring. I was just playing around with it and came up with a song, Welcome to the Shadows, in a relatively short time. So pretty much whenever you have an idea, you can immediately go there and work on it and forget about time, forget about the world outside, and just work. And it's a place where, to quote an own song of mine of the past, where clock hands freeze. And that's something I really appreciate about having my own studio.
Yeah, and obviously a great advantage of that is that because obviously inspiration can strike at any time. It's always good to have something within reach, reasonably quick, to sort of get those inspirations out into the creative aspect, I guess.
Exactly. And in the past, it was always whenever I wanted to record a song, I asked Sasha, and we worked quite on the spur of the moment. We worked like, oh, Sasha, I have this idea. I need to sing it. Can I come tomorrow? We always had to plan at least one day ahead because it was always a trip of 3 hours to his place and 3 hours back, 4 hours of working. So it was a 10 hours day just to try out a chorus or something. That was just, it's possible, but it's not very convenient. And now it just takes me 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes, 12 seconds to go down the stairs and start working.
And obviously, the result of that, a Paranormal Evening with the Moonflower Society. I've got to ask, it's a very interesting title. What does it mean and where did it come from?
It was pretty much, I think, it's a combination of many different things. It works on different levels. On one level, it's a reflection of what I've just said, my working process. I approached the album like, or the title. I first had the title in my mind when I locked the studio door behind me. And I encounter all those beautiful inspirations and, well, time freezes, and I'm surrounded by muses and inspirations and thoughts and ideas and specters and ghosts, so to say. The spirit in the air. I tried to find a name for the total of those characters, those invisible characters, thoughts, inspirations, imaginations. And I call them the Moonflower Society because they appear at night when the world outside falls asleep. And when I'm on my own with my ideas, it's usually the nighttime. And like a moonflower, I open up at night. And like a moonflower, those entities pop up at night as well, when the world outside falls asleep. And that's where the title the Moonflower Society, or the word the Moonflower Society, came from. But on a different level, the Moonflower Society, it also kind of describes pretty well, or pretty accurate, what we all are, me and my working environment and my friends. And I think some fans can relate to it as well, because many of us have their quirks and are considered a bit, I don't want to say weird, but let's put it this way: we all consider it to be a challenge to adjust to the expectations of the everyday world outside at times. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
And we all open up like moonflowers when we are in our own little world, when we are in our parallel world, in our music world, when we are surrounded by people who are like-minded and who think like we do. And we're not quite so mainstream. I think everybody can relate to that. It's an ode to individualism and to maybe being considered a bit different, or having a hard time to cope with society, with everyday life and society, and what's considered normal by most people, and adult and mature. And so the title works on many different levels. And now to close this, the concept is also, it's those 11 songs, they are all rooted in the same fantastic world, but they don't tell a plot together. It's not one big plot. It's more, the album is more, I approached it like a visit to a magical theater, of which the protagonists, the Moonflower Society, would invite you into a different world. It deals a lot with escapism, and I approach it like a paranormal evening with the Moonflower Society.
That's a good title to that description. And to me, when you're telling that story about where the title is and what the idea is behind the album, it sounds to me like it's almost theatrical in a way. And I guess you've always had that sort of aspect in your music and your albums over the years anyway. And this is a continuation of that. But it does sound to me very theatrical at the same time.
Absolutely. I mean, I've always loved the narrative of theater of I always like to be told a story myself. I always like to approach an album like an adventure, like a journey, like a voyage to a nocturnal world. I like the visual aspects of it and the imaginative aspects of it. And as I said, it's very theatrical, very visual, very strong images. That's what I've always liked about the music of and the lyrics of Ronnie James Dio or Magnum or Jim Steinman, Meatloaf. It's been very strong visuals and fantastic, and it's always had some escapist appeal, while still between the lines you could find some things, some personality of the writer as well, and you could find underneath, under the fantastic surface, you could also find some very personal and very contemporary issues of maybe the human mind or the human psyche or the composer's mind. And to me, it's always great when I can tell a story, and I can tell a story that I experience myself, that I'm part of. That's very exciting to me. But at the same time, to get things off my chest and write stuff that I need to process and that I need to get out, like you're writing a letter that you never sent, or just getting things off your chest, like self-therapy. And those both aspects in combination, that's the beauty of songwriting for me. And I think Avantasia currently gives me it's such a great opportunity to do self-therapy while telling fantastic stories and taking me and the listener to enchanting worlds. That's the greatest thing I could think of.
Yeah, it's like escapism, I guess, like with any sort of a good album or good movie or whatever. It's a good sort of thing to escape from reality. And especially with the last couple of years, obviously this pandemic and stuff. I mean, how much influence as far as what was going on around the world maybe sort of inspired some of the songs on the album?
I don't think any of it. I thought, you fucking virus, you fucked up half of my job. You're not gonna make it onto my album, you cocksucker.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I agree.
No,
Yeah.
I just try, I try to. I'm not gonna write about those things. I want to be. It deals with escapism, as you said, my music and my lyrics, but also it gives me the chance to put things in there that I have on my mind and that I have to get off my chest. So it's the best of both worlds. It is not just pure escapism. There's also going to your imagination is not necessarily getting away from reality. I think it's just entering a different leg of reality, because my imagination very well belongs to my reality. But I never really believed in singing about politics and about COVID measures and which politician I think says the truth and who says something that's wrong, and the World Economy Forum and all these conspiracy bullshit things. No, leave me alone. I don't want to have any of that crap in my music. I have my opinion on some things, but I will not include that in my music. I will. It's way too unimportant what I think about it to shove it down people's throat in my music. And also, my music should be an island for me, a retreat, a shelter, and not a stage for political views or something, and what's going on in the world.
Yeah, for sure. I think we had quite enough of a lot of the politics and stuff. So it's great to see that you're sort of sticking to, the sort of concepts and stuff that Avantasia is obviously well known for. And speaking of very well known for, you've got again, like you've had before, a list of great guests on the album, including of course Jeff Tate and Floor Jansen and many great singers and stuff. Obviously that's a regular thing for you, but what was it like again this time around working with these guys for the new album?
It was great. It's great to be able to rely on such world-class music legends and music rock history, royalty, whatever. And it's been great that we've grown together as I would say as a band throughout the years. I mean, there's many friendships in between all of us in Avantasia, and many new friendships have been generated through the work of Avantasia in the past 10 years. So I think now we really benefit from what we had built in the past 10, 15 years, because obviously it was not so easy to be in the same room and record together, especially during the lockdown times. We have relied on a lot of many singers and that we've always or that we've heard in Avantasia before, and also I wanted to have those two new singers, new in quotation marks, but Ralf Schepers and Floor Jansen and Nightwish, because I thought they could contribute something really outstanding to Avantasia, and they proved they could. But I'm also aware of the fact that some of us, some of our fans said, okay, we need more new artists. It should be like 7 new artists for every album, because we want to be surprised. But I disagree in a way, because I think Avantasia should not be about the novelty and should not be about the effect, and not be about, oh, who's next on the next album. I mean, look, Iron Maiden have done probably 15 albums with Bruce Dickinson on vocals, and it never gets boring. It's great to have a new Iron Maiden album with Bruce Dickinson. Now we got 9 Bruce Dickinson in quotation marks. So even though we have singers that return to Avantasia that have been singing in Avantasia before, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's great, and they give me everything I need to be creative and discover new sonic worlds. And with those 2 new singers, Floor and Ralf, I think we got a real interesting new flavor. And I think it's a perfect mix of familiar voices and new additions.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, just legends in their own right, and it's great to see like a really cool collaboration like that. And obviously, you brought some of these people down to Australia back in 2019 for a couple of shows, which is obviously I wasn't at any of the shows, sadly, unfortunately. But how did that go for you?
It was amazing. It was great, and it was a dream of mine. Ever since I've been to Australia for the first time in 2002, I think it was May 2002 or April. No, it was May, early May 2002. I've loved it down there, and it was a dream of mine. You always want what's most challenging, and there's not many places in this world that are further away from Germany than Australia. And it was great to make it happen. I know it was not too large theaters. It was modest theaters. It was difficult to make it work, to bring a juggernaut like this to Australia. We also lost some money, but it was worth it. It's great. I love playing Australia, and this is not brown nosing. I have to say, what I love so much about Australia is that it's so remote that it seems like you're so relaxed and the rest of the world can kiss your ass. and that attitude, that relaxed attitude, while everything is so well organized and it works, you are relaxed and laid back, and and very civilized. I know that. I don't know if that's a politically correct way to put it, because that sounds like as if I hadn't expected that.
Yeah.
No, I had expected that. But what I want to say is, it's such a, oh, you're just a great country and great people, and I loved it there. And Melbourne, back then when I was in Melbourne, Melbourne was food capital of the world. Did you know that? It was amazing. And we had a vacation. The first time I was in Australia, that was, I think, 2002. It was food capital, or 2001 food capital of the world. And when we were there, we were, I think we had a vacation in Australia of 5 or 6 days with Ed Guy. That was amazing. That was one of the best tours I've ever done. Small places, small crowds, small shows, but it was still amazing, amazing. A memory I will carry in my heart forever. No, well, you don't carry memories in your heart, but wherever you carry memories, I will carry it there forever.
Well, I'm glad that you had a good time, and hopefully you can come back to Australia sometime soon in the future. But congratulations on the new album. Fantastic as always. And look, really appreciate your time today. It's been great to chat to you today again.
Thank you very much. It's been great. And I really hope we come to Australia. And I would not rule that out. I think there is a good chance we're going to come to Australia with this. Let's cross fingers and hope it's going to work. I'm not sure, I can't promise anything, but I would love to. And thanks for your support.
Awesome. Well, fingers crossed then. And yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. And have a lovely evening.
You too. Thank you.